Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey, but all my friends call me Kels Girl, and today we have a March reading wrap up. Okay, in the month of March I read 12 books. Hold on, I read 16 books. 16 books. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. A lot of this, I'm just gonna go ahead and preface this and say, was whenever my husband was traveling for work, so I had a lot of audiobooks and a lot of time. Okay, I did read some physical books, but audiobooks are usually my jam. If not, I'm on my Kindle. This is my first ever reading wrap up. I am not good with like describing or reviewing books because honestly, once I read it, it kind of like goes out the window unless it's like a 5-star read, like 5-star. So let's get into it. So the first book that I read this month was The Poisons We Drink. It was actually an ARC, an advanced reader copy by Bethany Baptiste. And now this is a young adult fantasy book, and the premise of the book was really good. However, I feel like it kind of fell flat for me. So this book, I feel like it was really good. It's about a girl. She's a witch brewer. She brews love potions legally. Her mother gets killed, and basically it's her trying to get back at whoever, and she basically signs a deal with the devil. Not really the devil, but you know. And so now it's like, at what cost is she trying to get back at that person who killed her mom, you know? And the premise was like good, but like at the end it just felt very flat. And it is fantasy, so it was like super duper long, and I give it 3 stars. The next book that I read was Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. I usually like most of her books, the books that I've read by her. They're very, one thing that I don't like is they are typically slow burns, but the twist be twisted, okay? The twist be twisted. Paris Peralta is suspected of killing her celebrity husband, and her long hidden past now threatens to destroy her future. When she is arrested in her own bathroom covered in blood, holding up a straight razor, her celebrity husband dead in the bathtub behind her, she knows she'll be charged for murder. But as bad as this looks, it's not what worries her the most. With unwanted media attention now surrounding her, it's only a matter of time before someone from her long hidden past recognizes her and destroys the new life she worked so hard to build, along with any chance of a future. 25 years earlier, Ruby Reyes, known as the Ice Queen, was convicted of a similar murder in a trial that riveted Canada in the early 90s. Reyes knows who Paris really is, and when she unexpectedly is released from prison, she threatens to expose all of her secrets. Left with no other choice, Paris must finally confront the dark past she escaped once and for all, because the only thing worse than a murder charge are 2 murder charges. I ate this up. The third book that I read this month was This Could Be Us. It's the Skyland Book 2 series by Kennedy Ryan, and this I loved. Now let me start. Before I let go, I rated that 5 stars, and I felt that I loved that one more. But I think after I sat and read this, I think I was in this space because when I read Before I Let Go, I was pregnant, and there's a lot of like dealing with pregnancy and things like that in that book. But now that I'm in a different space in my life, reading This Could Be Us, I am now in this, currently a stay-at-home mom, things like that. So it resonated even more. It's so wild, but I loved this. I loved this. Y'all already know, if you see my vlog, I went and met Kennedy Ryan. 5 stars across the board. Loved it. The fourth book that I read in March was Bright Red Fruit. It's by Sophia El-Helio. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but this was such a good coming of age story. If you like coming of age books and it's in verse, this was so good. It's 366 pages, but it's in verse, so it's not like full-on pages. It's like poetry, and it was so good. This one is like I said, a great coming of age story, and it also explores like cultural identity, freedom of expression, exploitation of minors, things like that. It was so good. I love this. It was a very nice, I didn't cry or anything, but it was a nice, like soft, well, I wouldn't say soft, but it wasn't like a thriller, but it was a good book. I don't know. The fifth book that I read for the month was very heavy, was very deep. It was All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby. I am picking up anything S.A. Cosby writes, period. I don't care what it is, author by author for me. He knows how to write a freaking story. Now this book, I'm gonna go ahead and read you the description because I don't want to mess this up. So this is about a black sheriff, a serial killer, a small town ready to combust. Titus Crown is the first black sheriff in the history of Sharon County, Virginia. In recent decades, Sharon has had only 2 murders. After years of working as an FBI agent, Titus knows better than anyone that while his hometown might seem like a land of moonshine, cornbread, and honeysuckle, secrets always fester under the surface. Then a year to the day after Titus's election, a school teacher is killed by a former student, and the student is fatally shot by Titus's deputies. These festering secrets are now out in the open and ready to tear the town apart. As he investigates the shootings, he unearths terrible crimes and a serial killer who has been hiding in plain sight, haunting the dirt lanes and woodland clearings of Sharon. With the serial killer's possible connections to a local church and the town's horrifying history weighing on him, he projects confidence about closing the case with concealing a painful secret from his own past. At the same time, he also has to contend with a far-right group that wants to hold a parade in celebration of the town's Confederate history. It was insane. This, I am going to warn you, read the trigger warnings. This is probably one of the more gory books. It's not horror, but it is heavy. But it is so good. It's so well written. 5 stars. The 6th book that I read this month was The Killer's Daughter by Kate Wiley. I ate this up. I did find out this is going to be a series, which I love. I love me a good series when done right, and I love a good detective sleuth series or book when it's done right. This one is basically about a girl. She is a detective, and she is going through like a really big case. It is a very gruesome case of a family that was found murdered, and she's trying to go through that. But then she also gets a letter from a serial killer who is trying to basically tell her about some things, some other secrets that he has. Turns out the serial killer is her dad. So yeah, it's crazy. The Killer's Daughter by Kate Wiley. I rated that 4 stars just because I was shocked that I didn't know it was a series. So it kind of leaves off on like some unanswered questions. The 7th book that I read this month was Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sambury. I loved this. I did a buddy read with some of my friends on Instagram, and I loved it. I loved it. It was kind of a slow burn, which I usually don't like, but once it started heating up, it started heated up. I liked it was giving very much like, let me just read you the description because y'all know I'm not good with this. Daisy sees dead people, something impossible to forget in bustling ghost-packed Toronto. She usually manages to deal with her unwanted ability, but she's completely unprepared to be dumped by her boyfriend. So when her mother inherits a secluded mansion in northern Ontario where she spent her childhood summers, Daisy jumps at the chance to escape. But the house is nothing like she expects, and she begins to realize that her experience with the supernatural might be no match for her mother's secrets, nor what lurks within the walls. A decade later, Brittany is desperate to get out from under the thumb of her abusive mother, a best-selling author who claims to have stayed at the Miracle Mansion and allowed her to see the errors of her ways. But Brittany knows that nothing but a sham. She decides the new season of her popular haunted web series will uncover what happened to a young black girl in the mansion 10 years prior and finally exposes her mother's lies. But as she gets more wrapped in the investigation, she'll have to decide if she can only bring one story to light, which one matters most, Daisy's or her own. I love this. I love a good podcast element. So while this is not podcast, they are kind of like doing interviews and things like that. And what I really liked about this book is that while they're doing interviews, Brittany and I forgot the guy's name, her partner or whatever, while they're doing interviews and interviewing these people, it goes back and it kind of like matches what you're going to read on Daisy's point of view. So it's dual point of view, Daisy and Brittany, and I just like as she was interviewing, you were finding out more and more about what really happened. And when I tell you the twists, I did not see coming. I love this. I think I rated it 4 stars. 4 stars because I do feel that one part of the book really didn't need to be there, and it was longer than it needed to be. But besides that, I really enjoyed this. Best Day Ever by Kara Ruda. I wanted to love this book. I wanted to love it. It was giving me, what did I write here? It was giving me Joe from You vibes with the inner dialogue. The plot was good and some of the twists were predictable, but I just finished because I wanted to see what happened. I rated it 2.5 stars. So basically, honestly, if you're new to thrillers, I feel you may like this, or you like more suspenseful books. Okay, but if you're a thriller girl, like a real thriller girl, I don't think you'll really enjoy this book, to be honest. Now, if you want a page turner, you want like something that's gonna grab you, Missing White Woman by Kelly Garrett is it. This book comes out actually April 30th. I got this as an ARC and I ate this up. I know I say this about a lot of them, but this was a page turner. I could not put this down. So this book had me on edge. This book had me on the edge of my seat. Little Brianna and her boo Ty, they go to New York for a little vacation or whatever, and while they're there doing touristy things, they start seeing a lot of posters of this girl Janelle. She's gone missing, right? She's missing and we're trying to find her. She's all over TikTok. She's all over, you know, social media has gone crazy. Justice for Janelle. Where is she? On the last day of their stay, right there at their Airbnb, the girl Brianna gets up. She can't find her boo anywhere. But when she does get up, she finds the missing white woman in her living room of the Airbnb. And she's... And so it just like spirals. And her boo is nowhere to be found. 5 stars. Easily. Ate it up. The next book that I read was Tender Beast by Lizelle Sambury, who is the same person who wrote Delicious Monsters. And I had such high hopes going into this one because of how good Delicious Monsters was, but it wasn't hitting for me. It was not hitting like Delicious Monsters was. It has really good like family dynamic and things like that, but it was just so long and I was just like, come on, let's get to the point. Same thing goes for the next book, Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. I, again, wanted to love this so much. I feel like, and I hate to say this, I feel like if someone else wrote it, it would have been a banger. It would have been a banger. So basically, it is about this community, really tight-knit neighborhood. Couple there, they are unalived, okay? A girl goes away to prison for it. And she ends up getting off. She ends up getting off and comes back to the neighborhood. And now we're like, what's tea? Like, nobody wants to be around her and everything because she basically got off for unaliving them. Turns out she really didn't. And now we're trying to figure out who really did. And that sounds good, right? But at the end, it just gave like, let's get this over with. This is a bunch of like Karens on a forum. Let's wrap it up. Next one that I read is by Christina C. Jones. I definitely needed a palate cleanser after that because I couldn't. That book would have literally put me in a book slump. So I went in with Hostile Takeover by Christina C. Jones. This is my first book by her and will not be the last. I'm not a romance girly, but I do like romance that gives like messy or like gives some drama, okay? I don't want a fluffy book. I won't say never, but you know, most of the time I'm not going to pick up a fluffy romance. I need drama. I need messy. And this is like it's not mafia romance, but it is like billionaire romance. And I ate this up. I loved it. And I found out this is part of a series, so I have to wait for the next one, but I'm very excited to read that one. I loved it. And I cannot wait for the next one. And then because I was like trying to force myself out of that book slump, I read this book right here on Kindle Unlimited. It's called Hot for Teacher, which I found out is also a part of a series and it's only the first book that is out, but I loved it. Basically, this girl, she needs like some love in her life, okay? She has her this low down dog of an ex-husband and she just needs to get out there and have some fun. Well, she ends up doing that. Her sister puts her out there. They go to a restaurant. They meet this guy and they go back to the hotel and do a little dupe, right? Well, it turns out when it's time for her son to go to school, he is the new teacher. So yeah, I ate this up. I ate it up. It is very spicy though, so just content warning for that. The next book that I actually listened to is a new release. It's called Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. I, again, wanted to love this so bad. The premise sounds really good. It's about two ordinary women who make a dangerous pact to take revenge for each other after being pushed to the brink. One dark evening on a New York City's Upper West Side, two strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, Amanda and Wendy realize they have much in common, especially loneliness and an intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. So it's basically like they set out like, you do this for me and I'll do that for you. But I was listening on an audiobook and I feel like I just turned this bad boy up to 1.8, 2.0. Like, let's get this over with, because now a lot of people liked this. I gave it a 3. The twists were twisty, but I don't know if it was the writing style or what. I didn't love it, because I was on that like that romance, rough raggedy romance. I went in with the Prince of the Brotherhood. It's an international mafia series. That is the first book of it, and I like this. It was pretty long though, at about 368 pages. I like to be under 350 if I'm actually reading this, and I read it on my Kindle. But I really did like this. So the last book that I read in March was We Deserve Monuments by Jas Hammonds, and I loved this. This was, I feel like, such a good book to end the month off with. It's a coming of age novel. You're dealing with small town secrets, intergenerational trauma. I feel it's kind of like young adult mystery, but it's definitely romance there. I would say romance on more levels than just like romantic. I loved this. I'm going to read the synopsis for you because I don't want to mess this one. I don't want to mess this one up. Family secrets, a swoon-worthy romance, and a slow burn mystery collide in We Deserve Monuments, a young adult debut from Jas Hammonds that explores how racial violence can ripple down through generations. What's more important, knowing the truth or keeping the peace? 17-year-old Avery Anderson is convinced her senior year is ruined when she's uprooted from her life in DC and forced into the hostile home of her terminally ill grandmother, Mama Letty. The tension between Avery's mom and her grandma makes for a frosty arrival and unearths past drama they refuse to talk about. Every time Avery tries to look deeper, she's turned away, leaving her desperate to learn the secrets that split her family in two. While tempers flare in her avoidant family, Avery finds friendship in unexpected places. In Simone Cole, her captivating next-door neighbor, and Jade Oliver, daughter of the town's most prominent family, whose mother's murder remains unsolved. As the three girls grow closer, Avery and Simone's friendship blossoming into romance, the sharp-edged opinions of their small southern town begin to hint at something insidious underneath. The racist history of Bardell, Georgia is rooted in Avery's family in ways she can't even imagine. With Mama Letty's health dwindling every day, Avery must decide if digging for the truth is worth toppling the delicate relationship she's built in Bardell, or if some things are better left buried. This was so good. I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't see this book talked about a lot, and I was actually really surprised this was a young adult book, because I feel it like hit on some pretty deep topics. So yeah, I rated that 4.5, just because the book at the end, it kind of got like, I feel like it was rushed. I feel like they could have put out like a little bit more into the story, although it did give like an epilogue and kind of tell you like this is where they are now type of thing. But I don't know if I just wanted more. I don't know, but it was so good. If you just need like a little palate cleanser, this is a really good one. So those are all the books that I read in March. I think that I had some really good bangers this month, but I think out of all of the ones that I read, I think my favorites is so hard. I would say This Could Be Us, All the Sinners Bleed, Delicious Monsters, Missing White Woman, and We Deserve Monuments. If I had those 5, those were like it for me. I really loved those books. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any book recommendations for me, I'm always looking to grow my never-ending TBR, so just let me know. I'm definitely a thriller girl, so if you have any thriller recs, please let me know. Even just any books, honestly, and I'll just check them out. I hope you enjoyed this video, friend. I'll see you in the next one. Later.